You have been sitting at my desk, planning a life with her at my cottage.
No? At my cottage, brother. I see my valet does not know where his loyalty lies.
You let me intimidate him, as should you. If you thought it through, even for a moment.
I have thought it through.
Not even our mother is saintly enough to allow such a thing. I could not live with myself. If I looked into Edmund's eyes, knowing I had brought him into this world under those conditions. Could you?
Tension hangs thick in the air as two brothers face the impossible choice between loyalty and desire, duty and heart. In the quiet of the cottage, words become weapons, and every unspoken thought carries the weight of family honor, love, and betrayal. Anthony and Benedict are not just arguing, they are unraveling, revealing the raw, unfiltered truth of what it means to be bound by blood and torn by passion. And in this confrontation, nothing will be left untouched, no secret left unchallenged, and no choice without consequence. Anthony's voice cuts through the stillness, sharp and measured, each word deliberate as though carefully chosen to wound and instruct at the same time. "You have been sitting at my desk, planning a life with her at my cottage," he begins, his gaze steady, unyielding, demanding Benedict meet him where reason and duty collide. But Benedict does not falter. His reply is quiet, precise, yet firm. "No, at my cottage, brother." It is more than a correction. It is a declaration of autonomy, a refusal to bow entirely to the weight of Anthony's authority. The air between them thickens with unspoken history, years of rivalry, loyalty and love twisted into a single sharp moment. Anthony steps closer, the hint of frustration creeping into his tone. "I see my valet does not know where his loyalty lies. He let me intimidate him, as should you, if you had thought it through even for a moment." Benedict meets his gaze with calm defiance. "I have thought it through. I have thought every inch of it through." Each repetition, each assertion is a heartbeat in the escalating tension, and the quiet steadiness of Benedict's voice only sharpens Anthony's irritation. The conversation spirals into deeper truths, exposing fears that neither brother had spoken aloud before. Anthony's eyes narrow, the weight of their shared past pressing down on the room. "You have been gone longer than you realize. You do not know me now." There is accusation here, yes, but also a desperate plea for understanding, a need to ensure Benedict sees the dangers lurking in choices made for love rather than reason. Benedict's response is measured, honest, unflinching. "I know that you mean well always, but if you are choosing a life with her, you cannot have thought it all through." The words hang like a knife suspended over the heart of their argument, sharp and precise. Anthony recoils only slightly, the sting of truth settling in, yet his own convictions rise, stubborn as ever. "I will not stand here," he begins, only to be interrupted by Benedict's relentless questioning. "Have you thought about how she will feel when you eventually marry?" "I do not need to marry," Anthony's voice rises, but it is laced with fear and warning, a mixture of protective instinct and rigid tradition. "What about when you decide you want a family?" The question is simple, almost casual, yet it carries a weight that presses into every corner of the room, filling it with tension. Anthony's eyes flicker with something more: regret, worry, the sharp pangs of a man who sees the fragility of his dreams mirrored in his brother's rebellion. Benedict's response is both defiant and tender. "I know you will want one day, and you cannot do that with her." The declaration is final, absolute, and it draws Anthony into a spiral of internal conflict, caught between love for his brother and the rigid codes that have guided their family for generations. The argument becomes a dance of moral reasoning, emotional manipulation, and the raw honesty of brotherhood. Anthony's voice softens, carrying the weight of unspoken truths, not in the way that you would like. "I understand you may have convinced yourself that she is reason enough to risk everything, but think, if you ever have a family, what the reality of life would be like for those children. They will never be able to join our family. Not truly. They will be shunned by society, cast out." His words are sharp, almost cruel, yet they are laced with care. A brutal form of love meant to protect, to warn, to prevent a future that would be filled with sorrow. Benedict stands his ground, unflinching, his voice quiet but determined. "I could not walk away from her." It is not a refusal born of stubbornness alone, but of deep, unwavering conviction, the kind of love that burns fiercely even in the face of impossible consequences. Anthony recoils, a flash of frustration and helplessness crossing his features. I should cut you off, disown you, protect the family. The threat hangs in the air, heavy and ominous, yet it is tempered by a surprising undercurrent of faith. But I believe in you, to make the right decision in the end. So please, do not make me the fool. In that moment, the room becomes more than just a space for argument. It is a crucible for the decisions that will define the lives of both brothers, a place where love, loyalty, and destiny collide, leaving nothing untouched and no outcome certain. Every word, every pause, every glance carries the weight of generations, the tension of impossible choices, and the fear that the next word, the next decision, could shatter everything they hold dear. The tension between Anthony and Benedict has reached a fever pitch, yet beneath the sharp words and measured threats, there is an undercurrent of fear. Fear not just of losing the other, but of losing themselves in choices that could never be undone. Anthony steps back, his chest heaving, not from exhaustion but from the intensity of conflicting emotions. The weight of tradition pressing down on him like an invisible hand. You do not understand, Benedict, he begins again, softer now, almost pleading. You think love alone can justify your defiance, but it cannot. Our family, our name, it cannot bear the consequences of recklessness. There is a pause, a crack in his armor that only Benedict seems to notice. Benedict tilts his head, eyes locked with Anthony's, unwavering, and replies with a calm that belies the storm raging inside him. I understand more than you think. I have weighed every risk, every outcome, and yet I cannot betray what I feel. The words are simple, but they carry the weight of unshakable resolve, the kind that cuts through even the thickest walls of duty and expectation. Anthony's hands clench at his sides. His voice, once controlled and measured, rises with desperation. Do you even realize what you are risking? Everything we have been taught, everything we have worked for, it will crumble if you follow your heart blindly. Our family's legacy, the respect of society, the future of those who come after us, all of it is at stake. Each phrase is calculated, deliberate, meant to impress the gravity of the situation upon Benedict. Yet beneath the fury and admonition, there is a deeper layer, a desperate hope that his brother will choose reason, tradition, and safety over love. Benedict does not flinch. Instead, his expression hardens, a mixture of defiance and sorrow. And if I do not choose her, if I walk away to preserve appearances, to bow to duty, to silence my heart, what kind of life would that leave me? A life filled with regret, Anthony. A life where every glance, every smile, every moment is tainted by what I denied for the sake of what others demand. His words reverberate in the quiet room, sharp and echoing, slicing through the weight of Anthony's arguments. The confrontation becomes almost a battle of philosophies, one rooted in tradition, hierarchy, and responsibility, the other in passion, freedom, and the unyielding pull of the heart. Anthony steps closer, the distance between them shrinking as though the air itself conspires to force their confrontation to its breaking point. You speak of freedom, of choice, yet you fail to see the chains you are binding yourself with, he counters, his tone heavy with sorrow and frustration. You believe that love absolves all consequences, but it does not. You may win her heart, but what of the consequences that follow? What of the children who will grow in a world that refuses to accept them? What of the mother who will never embrace them fully? Have you considered the loneliness that awaits, the cold rejection, the societal scorn that cannot be undone? Each word strikes like a hammer, forcing Benedict to reckon with the potential fallout. Yet even as the warnings fall, Benedict's resolve does not waver. I have considered it, he says, almost whispering now, though the weight of his certainty fills the space more fully than Anthony's forceful words. Every consequence, every challenge, every risk, I have walked through them all in my mind, and I would rather face 1,000 rejections, 1,000 impossibilities, than live a life without her. You speak of duty as if it is a shield against pain, but duty cannot fill the emptiness of what is denied. It cannot replace the warmth of love, the joy of being with the one who completes you. I will not let tradition, or fear, or even you dictate the course of my heart. The declaration hangs between them, electric and charged with inevitability. Anthony swallows, his pride and fury warring with a reluctant admiration. He knows the truth in Benedict's words, and yet the fear, the duty, the unshakable weight of responsibility still anchors him in place. You may believe you are brave, Benedict, but bravery without foresight is nothing but folly. You cannot hope to protect anyone if you let passion blind you to reality. Our family, our legacy, it is not yours to gamble with. Benedict shakes his head, almost mournfully, the quiet intensity of his gaze piercing Anthony's defenses. I am not blind. I see the dangers, the impossibilities, the risks. But I also see what I cannot ignore. The heart has reasons the mind cannot measure, Anthony. And though I respect our family, though I respect you, I cannot respect a life denied of the one truth that makes it worth living. Anthony's jaw tightens, the internal battle raging as he searches for the words that will pierce his brother's resolve without breaking him entirely. You are a fool, he says finally, the words bitter but softened by the tremor of fear in his voice. A fool risking everything for a dream that may never be realized. And yet, I cannot stop you. I cannot force your heart to bend, even as I tremble at the consequences that follow. Just be certain, Benedict. Be certain that love is worth the cost, and that when the world turns its back, you will still stand unbroken. Benedict's eyes glimmer with a mixture of defiance, love, and quiet sorrow. I am certain, Anthony, more certain than I have ever been of anything. I will face whatever comes, endure whatever they impose, because to deny her would be to deny myself entirely. The brothers stand in silence, the air thick with unspoken truths, mutual respect, and the heavy weight of choice. Each is aware that the world outside the cottage waits with judgment and consequence. Yet in this crucible of confrontation, they are stripped bare, two souls intertwined by blood, torn by loyalty, and divided by the impossible choice between family and love. The cottage is silent now, but the air is heavy with the echoes of their words, the unspoken emotions pressing down like a storm threatening to break. Anthony's hands tremble slightly, though he forces his composure, the weight of his role as the elder, as the protector of the family, anchoring him in place. You think you know the cost of your choice, he says slowly, each word deliberate, but you do not. The world is cruel, Benedict. It does not bend for love, does not soften for desire. You speak of courage, of standing against impossible odds, yet you cannot imagine the pain, the ridicule, the isolation that awaits. His voice is steady, but there is a quiver beneath the surface, a mixture of fear and longing. He wants his brother to understand, to see the danger without dismissing the power of what he feels. Benedict steps forward, eyes blazing, but calm in a way that makes Anthony both proud and furious. I see it, he says quietly, each word measured, yet full of fire. I see the whispers, the judgment, the doors that will close, and the smiles that will fade. I have imagined it all. I have lived it in my mind. But I also see what you refuse to see, that without love, all the legacy, all the respect, all the comfort this world offers is empty. It is hollow. I would rather live a life despised, cast out, challenged at every turn, than live safe and unloved. Anthony's chest tightens, the truth of Benedict's words piercing him deeper than any argument could. He remembers his own heart, the compromises he made, the sacrifices that shaped him, and yet he knows that Benedict's path is different, guided by a fire that cannot be tamed by reason alone. You risk everything, Anthony continues, voice low now, heavy with warning and despair. Our family, the inheritance, the position, the honor, all of it. And for what? A dream, a desire. Love is not enough, Benedict. You know this. You know how society will react, how it will twist your intentions, how it will shatter the very world you are trying to protect. Benedict's gaze does not waver. He takes a step closer, reducing the distance between them to almost nothing, as if to prove that no amount of authority, no weight of duty, can overshadow the conviction in his heart. And yet, Anthony, he says, voice soft but unbreakable, love is all I have ever wanted, all I have ever needed. Everything else is decoration. It matters little if it is hollow. I cannot live hollow, cannot live without the warmth, without her laughter, without the life that we could have together. I will endure every cruelty, every whispered insult, every closed door, because it will be worth it. Every moment will be worth it, even if the world despises me, even if our family cannot forgive. Anthony's eyes flash with a mixture of fury and helplessness. He wants to scream, to force his brother to see the danger, the impossible odds stacked against him. Yet he also sees the unshakable determination in Benedict, the fire that cannot be extinguished, and he realizes the futility of trying to sway him with words alone. You speak of endurance as though it is a shield, Anthony counters, tone sharper now, laced with warning. But endurance does not protect the heart from loneliness, from betrayal, from the whispers that will haunt every step you take. You cannot predict how far people will go to punish those who defy their expectations. You cannot know how deeply the world will cut when you choose love over duty. Benedict's lips curve into the faintest, almost sad smile, a glimmer of empathy for the brother whose life has been shaped by obligation and restraint. I know, Anthony. I know every cut, every sting, every pang that will come. But I also know that to deny her, to deny what we have, would be the greatest wound of all. It would leave a scar deeper than any society could inflict, deeper than any judgment, deeper than anything you fear. I cannot betray what I feel. I will not. The room falls into heavy silence, broken only by the shallow breaths of two brothers caught in the gravity of impossible choices. Anthony's fists clench, his pride and protective instincts battling the dawning realization that Benedict will not yield, that his heart cannot be swayed by logic or fear. And now it is about to bloom in the most Eloise way possible, which means it is going to be messy and uncomfortable and completely compelling from start to finish. But here is the thing that makes Eloise's story even more interesting going into season 5. Shonda Rhimes has said publicly that the Marina in the show is genuinely different from the Marina in the books. And that one statement opened a door that fans have not stopped walking through since. Because if Marina is different, then the circumstances around Philip are different. And if the circumstances are different, then the Philip the show builds could be entirely its own creation. Which means the story could go anywhere. It could honor the spirit of the source material while completely rewriting the path it takes to get there. And that possibility is exactly what makes Eloise's season feel unlike anything Bridgerton has done before. There is also the question of Theo Sharp, the printing press worker from season 2, the one Eloise had a real, electric, genuinely complicated connection with before that storyline was quietly set aside. Fans have not forgotten about him. The connection was too specific and too carefully written to have been accidental. And with season 5 opening up Eloise's world in a completely new direction, the possibility of Theo returning is not as far-fetched as it might sound. The show has a history of planting things early and paying them off much later. Eloise's entire romantic arc is proof of that. Season 5 is going to be the season that reminds everyone why they started watching this show in the first place. Not just because of the romance, not just because of the scandal or the dresses or the drama in the ton, but because, at its core, Bridgerton has always been about people who are trying to figure out who they are while the world around them has very loud opinions about who they should be. I should, he starts, then stops, realizing that threats, punishment, even appeals to reason will not bend Benedict's soul. I should punish you, disown you, protect the family from your folly. His voice falters, revealing the vulnerability he rarely allows himself to show. But I cannot. I see you, and I know you are resolute. I cannot strip you of your heart, even if it blinds you. Benedict steps back, giving Anthony the space he needs, yet his presence is commanding, unwavering, a force of nature anchored in love and conviction. You worry for me, Anthony. You fear for me, and I understand. But do not mistake fear for wisdom, nor caution for love. I will face the consequences, whatever they may be, because I cannot face a life without her. Whatever the world throws at me, I will endure. Whatever society casts in my path, I will endure. Whatever our family believes, I will endure. Anthony's hands drop to his sides, a mixture of relief, frustration, and admiration coursing through him. He sees the truth in Benedict's eyes, the depth of his resolve, and he realizes that this is a choice that cannot be undone, that cannot be fought with logic alone. The tension in the room is almost unbearable. The weight of unspoken truths pressing down on both men, Yet beneath the storm of fear, pride, and duty, there's a quiet acknowledgement. Love has become the strongest force in the room, unrelenting and undeniable, challenging everything they have ever known. The brothers are locked in a silent understanding, a fragile truce built not on compromise but on the recognition of an unyielding truth. Benedict has chosen, and nothing, not tradition, not fear, not authority, will sway him from the path he has set, a path that risks everything, yet promises the one thing he cannot live without. And Season 5 is lining up a cast of characters who are all in the middle of exactly that question at the same time. Penelope building a new identity in public. Francesca learning how to love again after grief. Eloise confronting the possibility that everything she said she did not want might actually be exactly what she needs. Violet choosing herself for the first time. Lady Mondrich stepping into power she worked her entire arc to earn. And somewhere across Mayfair, a brand new Whistledown dropping pamphlets that nobody is ready for.